Good morning, everybody. How are you? I want to welcome you to Training Thursday inside the Profit-preneur Circle. For those of you who do not know me, I am your host, Kelly O'Neill, and I want to welcome all of our new members to the circle. We've got so many of you who have just recently joined. So, all right, fantastic. All right, we are live. You guys can see us. Fantastic. So, again, a very warm welcome to all of our brand new members. We are thrilled to have you in the Profit-preneur Circle. Every single Thursday, we go live with training. Generally, I do a training this morning. I've got my fantastic friend, Matt Johnson, on with me, who is going to be giving you a great training on how to utilize podcasting to attract affluent clients. So sometimes I do training, sometimes I bring on these amazing guests who are also our experts in the Profitology Business Incubator to train you on amazing topics. You also have this amazing community available to you that we do masterminding, we share resources, we answer questions, we help each other out. So make sure as you jump on that right now you drop below and you introduce yourself, right? Introduce yourself and let us know if you know your Profitpreneur profile type. Let us know exactly what that is. Tell us a little bit about your business, where you're from. We want to get to know every single one of you here in the circle. So for those of you who are brand new, I want to just take a moment to introduce myself, since some of you may not know me. I know a lot of you have been referred in here from friends. My name is Kelly O'Neill. I'm a brand marketing and profitability expert that specializes in helping entrepreneurs in service-based industries market to affluent clients and position themselves to make your competition irrelevant. So I run a consulting company, I run a training company, and the world's best business incubator, the Profitology Business Incubator, which I said Matt is an expert in, that we train just the most phenomenal clients in helping them to scale their businesses to multiple six, and then getting ready to go to 7 figures in a way that requires you not to work your ass off, right? We do it smart here. We do it smart using the Profitology process. So I run my own podcast, the Profitology podcast. Matt has actually been you guessed it. Yep, Matt. Yep, Matt has been a guest on my podcast. I've written a few books, and then I also speak all over the world. So I've got an event coming up, the Profitable Positioning Workshop. That is coming up in a couple weeks, October 10th through 12th. I know I'm seeing a lot of you there. And for those of you who are going, guess who else you're going to get to see there? Mr. Hottie Pants here. You get to see Mr. Hottie Pants. He's going to be there live and in person talking about, and we're going to bring him on and have him talk about podcasting. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not know that. Well, I knew it was coming, but I was going to sit in the audience. But sure, maybe I'll talk about whatever you want.
We're going to pick your brain in person. So guys, get your list of questions ready because he's going to be there. Fantastic, you guys. So we also have another intensive coming up. So every about 4 to 6 weeks, we do a special training. Sometimes we do like a one-night training. Sometimes we actually do a profit intensive. So we've got a brand new profit intensive coming up called Collaborate to Accelerate. So if you want to use, and actually this is so perfect with what Matt's going to be talking about today, if you want to utilize collaboration and belly-to-belly marketing to get your affluent clients, which is the most effective way to do it, then you are not going to want to miss this intensive. So make sure you register. It's absolutely free. We're going to be running it over the course of about a week and a half. So a week for the main content. We're going to have some bonus content for you the following week. So make sure you register, Collaborate to Accelerate. All right, let's talk to Mr. Matt here. You guys, I met Matt. Matt actually pitched me through LinkedIn to appear on his podcast. And so we met, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago?
A little over a year ago.
A little over a year ago? Okay. So we met Matt, and this is a great example of Collaborate to Accelerate in action. So Matt reached out to me. He pitched me on a podcast. He and I started talking. I said, what is it that you're up to in this world? He and I very much share similar views on building business and what also is going on in the business development market. We started chatting. He's been on my podcast. We collaborate. We refer clients back and forth, like all the things. And now he's an expert in the Profitology Business Incubator. So Matt is the go-to expert on all things podcasting, especially in terms of being able to pitch yourself. He's actually created a program. My team is in his program to help pitch yourself on podcasts. So today, Mr. Matt is going to take it away and talk to us about how to actually utilize pitching yourself on podcasts to be able to attract affluent clientele. So welcome.
Thanks, Kelly. I'm super stoked to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
All right. So, and we'll get into, we'll kind of take it in the direction that you want to go, but let me speak briefly just to the affluent client thing.
Please
because like you and I have very similar markets, right? We both sell to the affluent. I got into it by initially doing webinars with thought leaders and influencers in certain spaces,
right.
And ran podcasts and that. Like that's how I met all these folks. And what I realized is that there is some differences in serving them. They are different. I think different in much more delightful ways.
Delightful.
They're way better to serve. But I will say that podcasting is specifically one of the reasons why I like it and why it introduces me to my type of like affluent client, which are the influencers and thought leaders in their spaces, is because podcasts tend to draw like more of an affluent crowd just all by themselves. Like forget about whatever marketing methods you could use. Podcasts on their own are proven to draw more affluent crowds, higher college education, like all of that. So if you think about where you're going to spend your time, if you're going to spend your time somewhere, you might as well go where the affluent people already are. And right now, that's places like podcasts.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's when I designed my podcast strategy, it very much was going towards that more affluent marketplace. Like we're, that is where we are going. It's towards our higher level clientele.
Yeah, like to me, like any niche market, you can apply this as big or as small as you want. But to me, every niche breaks down into the few and then the many. Right. And to me, it's always better to go after the few. The few are the ones that are the most successful, the most driven, the most ambitious, and they tend to have they're more resourceful and they have fewer limiting beliefs.
Okay.
So of all the people that you want to sell to, I'd rather sell to the few and then expand into the many after I already have all the credibility, all the amazing testimonials from going after the people who are the most likely to get the most benefit and pay the most, by the way.
Yes.
Right? So like there's a lot of benefits of using that strategy of just going right away after the most affluent portion of any market, because those are the people that are actually more likely to get better results anyway. So anyway, that's part of why like you and I are so aligned on stuff.
Yes.
We just have that same approach.
We 1000%. So in the profitology process, what Matt's talking about is we go after high premium clients first, and we build our book of business to 6 figures on premium clients before we ever leverage to scale our businesses, before we ever start group programs, before we ever come up with info products and all those things, right? So, okay, someone's saying Matt's sound is giving us feedback. Maybe he needs to mute Facebook. I'm not having that experience, but they're telling me that. Okay. So yeah, I mean, that is the approach that we recommend. It is actually a lot easier when you're getting started up to sell that way than to try to, again, build the brand credibility. It takes a while, and even if you throw a ton of money at it, it takes a while to establish your brand and to get well known and to get around in circles. We have approaches to help you with that and to accelerate it. Definitely. But when you are, someone's saying echo. I don't know. Let me see what my team says. Let's see what,
I think I know what's happening. Do you usually do a headset when you're on these things? Because it might be a voice coming out of your speakers and back into your microphone.
Oh, no, I don't normally do a headset.
Interesting. All right, I am turning down my volume. Let's see if that does it.
Oh, someone's saying they don't hear it anymore. Okay, great. Taken care of. Audio challenges taken care of.
Yeah, help us keep an eye on that. I'll keep an eye on the comments as well. So let us know if that happens again, because maybe I might speak too loud at the microphone. Okay. But let's start with just going through the 5 real quick, and I want to give people something really tactical to start out with, because you mentioned that you and I met through LinkedIn outreach. And so that's actually one of the things I wanted to talk about today. But the 5 ways to reach affluent clients to your podcast, just from a super high level, is number 1, to pitch yourself as a guest. Like, that's a no-brainer. Number 2 is to build a referral network of influencers, so other people like Kelly that might be able to send you business, or whoever that thought leader influencer is. The third thing is to leverage your connections to other podcast hosts to meet potential clients on Facebook or LinkedIn. I've got some scripts that I can share with you guys.
Oh, great.
And then if you know podcast hosts, you can introduce, like once you start getting featured on podcasts, one super ninja strategy is to introduce podcast hosts to each other behind the scenes. I love doing that, right? Super high value. And then finally, you can always host and launch your own podcast. And there's a bunch of different ways. Like if you have your own show of any kind, even if it's just a Facebook Live series, there's a whole ton of ways to leverage that to attract more clients. But we can go as deep as you want into any of those. I know we want to talk mainly about pitching yourself, but I did want to mention just like how you and I met. Like that was part of the strategy, right? Like I wanted to very specifically go.
Okay, still echo because the sound is on Kelly's end. Okay. I want you to just go in and dive into that. Like, I love to give the people that watch us, I love to give our audiences like the whole behind the scenes juicy scoop. Let's start there, and I'm going to get
do me a favor. Go see if you can find a pair of earbuds.
I have earbuds. I have my things. I just don't know how to hook them up onto I have my AirPods.
Yeah, AirPods are worse. Yeah, they'll be terrible. You need like wired earbuds.
So picky with your audio. Hold on. I'm fixing it up. Keep talking.
Okay. All right. So here's the script, guys. If you want to just like to get better understand like exactly how I reached out to Kelly, for example. So I would go through on LinkedIn and I would look up people that I felt like were thought leaders or influencers that I wanted to connect with. I would find them by looking for things like business coaches, business consultants, or podcast hosts. And once I found them and I went through their profile, I would focus on the ones where I already had a mutual connection. So LinkedIn is great for this because it'll tell you who your mutual LinkedIn connections are. But I'm also looking for other types of mutual connections. Like if they're a podcast host, maybe they've interviewed one of my friends on their show before. That's a super easy one to find. You can just go through their list of previous podcast guests. So what I'm looking for is I always approach things through the lens of relationship. And I'm sure Kelly talks a lot about this because, signing up affluent clients has a lot to do with them feeling like you're in the same club, right? That you have the same types of relationships as they do.
Yes.
So if you lead with that and you look at things through that lens of relationships, it's super helpful when you're attracting affluent clients. So that's always what I lead with. Right. So in the script for how I would reach out to people, whether it was through LinkedIn or email, and I'll just use LinkedIn as a quick example, basically, here's the message that I would send. So let's say I wanted to leverage my relationship with Kelly to meet other influencers, right, and maybe introduce people to each other. So I would say something like, hey, John, I saw that we're connected through Kelly O'Neill. I just hung out with Kelly a few weeks ago. I checked out your profile. I thought you'd be a great guest on one of my friend's podcasts. If it looks like a good fit, here's the link, let me know, and I can make an introduction. So all that packed into like one really short paragraph. It's basically 2 sentences, but I led with the relationship, right? I led by what I would call authentic name dropping, right? So I led with that. And then you finish off with just nothing but value. There's nothing there about wanting to talk to me. There's nothing there about my service or what I do. He'll find that out by looking at my profile to see why I'm reaching out, right? To see who I am. He'll see my profile and he'll see what I do. So that's exactly how I reached out to Kelly. I think I reached out through a mutual connection that we had. And so it starts off right away by me emphasizing the relationship and the fact that we're kind of in the same circle of people. And then I leveraged that to say, hey, in this particular case, I was asking Kelly to be on my show. I said, hey, I've got this podcast. I think you'd be a great fit. I think we can talk about X, Y, and Z. It'd be a really fun conversation. And Kelly was like, yeah, sign me up. We were on the phone. The next thing you know, we're recording a podcast together. And we find out we believe all the same things and we're both awesome. So that was a super easy, like that's something that you don't even necessarily need to have a podcast to do. And you don't have to be pitching yourself as a guest on podcasts already. That's something you can do right now. You can hop on LinkedIn and you can find your mutual connections that are influencers, and you can start reaching out to them right now to offer to make some sort of strategic introduction to someone else. Not to you, but to someone else.
I love it. So we're still getting an echo. I wonder what would happen if you weren't talking through your speaker, because apparently when I got my earbuds, I threw away all my speakers, all my headsets.
You want me to try just disconnecting my good microphone and coming in through the laptop?
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Let's see how it works. Matt was actually giving me shit right before we started about my lack of audio, and then he jinxed us. I'm telling you, that's what happened, actually. It's Matt's fault.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Okay, is that better?
Check, microphone check. All right. All right, let us know. All right, so.
Okay.
Now, maybe it's Skype. Who knows? All right.
I don't know.
All right, guys, let us know. I'm seeing no's. What does that mean? No echo or still not good audio? No, unplug the earbuds. What earbuds? These are not plugged in, by the way.
I've never had this happen before on our. Someone's saying yes.
Yeah, what does that mean? Give us some feedback.
Give us some feedback, guys. Oh, it's actually worse?
Oh, fun. Okay.
Well, that's a son of a bitch. All right, you're just back in. Okay. Well, I also plugged in my mic.
Okay.
So let's see how that rolls. It's still bad. Okay, they said just go on. We love the training. All right, yeah, we're gonna figure this out, and if it's super super bad, then we will actually, for everyone that is interested and comments in here, what we'll do is Matt and I can always record another one because we're gonna do it for our Profitology business. We're going to do it for our Profitology business students anyways, so we can record it and share a Zoom training with you. So let's just roll. Let's just all pretend like there's not the sound elephant in the room. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
I can hear you. Okay, so strategy 1. Let's just back up here and recap.
Yep.
Podcasting is an excellent strategy. Podcasting is an excellent strategy for marketing to affluent clients. That is part of the reason I started a podcast, right? I also don't recommend that everyone start podcasts coming out the gate. It is not the best strategy for you when you don't have your brand figured out. Again, watch the Profitology crash course. That is a marketing strategy. However, pitching yourself onto podcasting as guest is a great strategy, no matter where you are in business, as long as you have your message dialed. Okay, Matt, go forth. Go forth with us for Matt.
Okay, so the most effective way to get yourself pitched, and I can actually hear some feedback on my side, so I apologize. It sounds like it's cutting out a little bit. The thing that I find that's the most important, so as a podcast host, when I receive a pitch, the most important thing to me is not a one-sheeter. It's not necessarily the length of the email.
Yeah.
I want to know what's the hook. I want to know what are you going to share with my audience that's different, polarizing, surprising, arresting, compelling to my group of people. So if you can get that right, I'll forgive a lot on the rest of the email. So you can have a pitch email that's not quite perfect, but if you get your story hook right, you will be a lot farther ahead, and you're much more likely to get a whole lot of podcast hosts saying yes to you. So to me, that's where your coaching and consulting comes in, because you're helping people zero in on that. When you get that right and you have a really good fit with the podcast that you're reaching out to, it makes everything infinitely easier.
Yes.
Right? Because
well, I mean, and that's just in business in general. Like, it's whether or not you're sending an email going to a networking event, whatever. If you don't have your strategy and your messaging nailed, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. This is just one of the many, many places where it shows up if you don't have it quite dialed in. Mm-hmm. So what I encourage people to work on is to really, before you actually sit down to write an email, let's just pick out maybe 5 podcasts that you feel like your ideal clients are listening to right now. They don't have to be huge. In fact, the smaller the better if you're just getting started, right? Mm-hmm. So figure out what are those 5 podcasts that are not Tim Ferriss and they're not Joe Rogan and they're not, Al Brown. Right? They're not Gary Vee. They're not the biggest ones out there. So, but find the ones that are on the small side that your ideal clients are listening to right now. And let's start with those. And you want to look at who the podcast host is, right? So Keller, when I think about you, mm-hmm. I think, okay, I want to ask myself, not just what value can I bring, and not just assume that I'm super awesome and I can bring tons of value. I actually want to ask myself, okay, why does Kelly run that podcast? Because you could be running that podcast for a lot of different reasons. You could be doing it just for the networking. You could be doing it to attract clients. You could be doing it to interview clients, right? Who knows? But when I look at that podcast, I can get a sense of kind of what your goal is based on the content that you're putting out, the types of people that you're interviewing.
Yeah.
So I get a sense, but I can also reach out and ask. And when I pitch myself, I can make sure that in the process of getting booked that I ask and clarify who the audience is and what your goal is in running the podcast. But I do want to think about that before I even reach out, right?
Yep.
So you want to think about what the podcast host wants to get out of it. Why are they running that show? And does it match with the value that I can bring? And if it's a match, great. Right? So you want to think about who the host is, who the audience is, and what kind of value you can bring that will match up with the reason why the host is running that show.
Yes. Love it.
Yeah, so very, very important. Because then when you sit down to actually write your email, that's the most important thing. If you can do an authentic name drop in the first sentence, awesome. But if you're reaching out to someone super cold, you can still do that. But when you're reaching out cold, the number one thing they're going to be looking at is just skip the fluff and tell me what you want to talk about that's interesting, unique, and compelling, right? Like that's what we're all thinking. And you have to think about it in terms of the fact that podcast host might be in line at Starbucks reading your pitch on your phone. So one of the common mistakes that I see with people that write to podcast hosts is they think that they have their undivided attention for 3 or 4 minutes to read their email. So they end up with this big, long 5-paragraph email about why they're an awesome guest. I can guarantee you that 90% of the time that email doesn't get read at all. So we're kind of overestimating how formal we need to be. We're overestimating how much detail we need to put in the email. Like just make it probably 2 paragraphs maximum and focus on authentic name dropping. What are you going to talk about that's different and surprising? And then just let them give you an easy yes and tell them that you'll follow up with detail. Like, hey, we can follow up with the details of scheduling later. I just want to see if you're open to the idea of having me on as a guest. That's all you want, because all you want them to do is be able to look at that email and type 3 letters, YES, send.
Right.
That's all you want. You just want to get a soft yes. Then you follow up with details and they can introduce you to their assistant or whatever.
And do you find that yes, I love this because this is exactly, you guys in the Collaborate to Accelerate Intensive, it is a super similar thing. It does not have to be these big, long, formal emails. The shorter, the better. I think that people in all types of, when they're looking to work with partners, they overestimate what they need to do in order to create that thing. Like, it's usually like, hey, I've been seeing you popping up. I want to connect with you. Like, I think we have a lot of similarities. Like, let's jump on a 15-minute call and see what we can do together. It's super chill. Do you find that LinkedIn is the best place for this? Or do you find Facebook, Instagram, what do you find is the best social medium for this?
I think LinkedIn is the best for now because right now, on average, people's LinkedIn inboxes are a little less crowded. I think if you can connect with influential people on Instagram, you can DM them and get a response right now because people's DMs on Instagram are still a little sparse compared to their email inbox or their Facebook Messenger inbox. Mm-hmm. So those 2 places I would say are the most crowded and least likely to get attention. The thing I like about LinkedIn is that somebody could not check their messages for 5 days, but there's still relatively few of them. So when they do go to check it, they end up seeing your message. So you may think you're not getting a response, and then 5 days later they'll go, oh, I finally checked my LinkedIn messages and I saw this. Yeah, I'd love to have you on the show.
Right.
So we're still in this interesting niche of time where I don't think LinkedIn has been burned out the same way email has and the way that our Facebook Messenger inbox soon will be, thanks to bots.
Yes. True story.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's what I love for it. And just keep it super, super personal. Wherever you're comfortable spending the most time, the place that you're going to use is ultimately the best place. If you're not comfortable on LinkedIn because you don't spend any time there, then reach out in the places where you do spend time, and especially reach out in the places where you look the most credible.
Yeah.
So if you can put together a credible LinkedIn profile, awesome. But if you look way more credible on Facebook, then try to find them that way and message them on Facebook so that when they look at your profile, they get your best foot forward.
Okay, perfect. Great answer. All right, you guys, are you loving this? Is this training? I mean, let me just tell you, he's already given you some severely amazing ninja secrets for you to be able to use already, like right off the bat, and across multiple platforms, not just podcasting. Okay, keep going. This is great. Love it.
So I mentioned like the super ninja thing about introducing podcast hosts to each other behind the scenes. So here's how that would go. So let's say you just you get featured on a podcast. One of the most powerful questions, it's the most powerful question. So once you get done with the podcast interview, always ask the host this one question. Hey, Kelly, if I can introduce you to somebody, like who's that perfect person? Do you want to, is there a potential podcast guest? Do you want to connect with other podcast hosts, or is there like a type of influencer you want to connect with that can level up your business? That question always catches people completely off guard, right? Because everybody's so focused on taking that very few people show up with the intent to give. So if you show up with that mentality that you're there to give to people's podcast audience and you're there to give to the host, and then you follow up that interview with that question, they're going to be caught off guard and surprised, and very pleasantly surprised, right? So their first reaction is going to be, wow, okay, I've never heard anybody ask that question. Let me think. And they might give you somebody, and that might lead to an introduction. And when it does, that's great, right? If you can follow through with a real strategic introduction after that, even better. But I can tell you this from experience, when I ask that question, even if I can't come up with somebody right away that I can think of for them, the natural automatic reaction after they tell you who they want to meet is to ask who you want to meet, right? So be prepared for them to ask, right? It's just human nature. They're going to go, hey, who can I? They may have never intended to refer anyone to you. But when you ask them that question, they're going to ask you back, well, who can I introduce you to? Well, I serve emerging thought leaders, and I help them launch podcasts that make them the recognized leader of lucrative niche. That's my thing. Yeah. Oh, wow, awesome. I know people that need that. I can think of 2 or 3 right off the bat. It's great. Well, I run a podcast. The best way to introduce them is just introduce them as a podcast guest and just equip them with what they need to make the introduction. The point there is that strategic introductions and offering that is my key to that's how I leverage podcasts behind the scenes, so that the audience numbers of the podcast I'm being a guest on or hosting or whatever is secondary to the relationships and the network of relationships that I've built by being a podcast guest and host. That, to me, that's the way to leverage podcasting for affluent clients.
I've wondered, when you're only doing 4 podcasts a month, it's but your network is expanding behind the scenes so much bigger than 4 podcasts a month.
Yeah.
And it's and what I'm really getting right now is it's what you're doing is you are, because you're then taking that information of you're now creating all of these collaborations behind the scenes, and that's where the bigger value is. So that one podcast could actually initiate, 10 different collaborations.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay.
Yeah, the more introductions you can make behind the scenes, the better. But even if all it does is just gives that one podcast host an amazing first impression of you as someone who's a giver and a person who thinks in terms of relationships first, that changes the game, right? When they walk away from a podcast interview with you with that impression, that makes them want to send people your way, even if they never plan to, and even if they don't typically send people to their podcast guests. They may have intended to just jump on and have a quick 20-minute conversation with you and send you packing. And then they leave going, wow, that person is really doing it right. I find myself wanting to send people to that person because I know because I've experienced that difference.
I love this. You guys, by the way, this is a precursor to collaborate, to accelerate, because we use the exact same strategy. And what Matt's talking about is the law of reciprocity. Is when you ask someone and you show up as that giver in all things in business, whether it be podcasting or everything else, that is the way to show up, because then they automatically, people are oh, what can I do for you? Right? Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Right. So let me give one quick tip for maximizing the podcast interviews that you get featured on and making sure that they actually do the main thing that that's intended to do in terms of the audience. So when I think of getting interviewed on a podcast, I don't think of it in terms of it generating immediate business. Of course, I want to give people that immediate opportunity to reach out to me and sign up or something. But that might be my primary call to action. But the real goal of getting interviewed on podcasts is to deliver that secondary call to action, which is how do you get into my email list, right? I want the permission to stay in touch with those people, right? I don't want just the short-term spike of visibility or credibility and authority. I want the long-term, I want the long tail growth of steadily and methodically building up an email list of people that trust me and want to hear my stuff. So when I go on other podcasts, that's my thing. So for example, I could have given out a call to action that led to a domain or a URL that was complicated. But what I did is I set up my landing page and then I went and bought a separate domain. In my case, it's howtogetfeatured.com. Now I did that very strategically because I wanted something that was verbal and it sounds good and it's memorable and it has no punctuation, hyphenation, zero of that. Right? I wanted something that was whole words, super easy to remember, because we have to remember about podcasts that people are often listening while they're doing other stuff, maybe even driving, and you want them to go, oh, what was that URL? It was like how to get featured, and I was about how to get featured. Was that it? Howtogetfeatured.com? Yeah, that was it. And then they can actually remember it, or they can write it down quickly while they're doing other stuff. I had a podcast guest one time, and I swear to God, this is the link they gave out. It was theredx.com/reu.biz or something like that. I'm like, what?
Novice.
Like, how is anybody supposed to understand, let alone remember that? And of course, they didn't get a lot of people that visited there. So we just have to remember that that's one of those key little ninja things to actually get a lot of trackable results out of being a podcast guest, is make it as easy as you possibly can for somebody to get from hearing you as a guest to getting into your email list.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Yeah, we did the same thing. You guys, collaborate2accelerate.com. Marketingmillionaires.com. And then I don't even know what's actually up there, so we need to actually go look. But I used to use, and I still own it, how to find affluentclients.com, because that's the number one question we get. Even though that's really long, that's the number one question we get. So that is why it works.
That's why you bought it. Yeah, exactly. That's why it works. Saying my URL will help them remember. I have a regular co-host on one of my shows that does that. He made his domain or his URL into a little jingle. So that became like a running joke on the show. So yeah, actually stuff like that does help.
And we call, there's a name for that. It's called audio branding, right? Yeah. So people start to remember. That's why you have those jingles. You know, and like you see like little 3-year-olds walking around like singing like jingles for products because they remember it, right? Yeah. I mean, different things have different, or even actually I was talking to someone the other day and they started their car or did they turn it on or they turned it off? And I go, oh, you're driving a BMW. And they're like, how do you know that? I'm like, because I know what the ding sounds like in a BMW because I used to have a BMW, right? It's like, it's that audio branding actually really does help. I love it. I love it.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, let's maybe finish out with one. There was something I was thinking of in terms of I wanted to finish out with a really good, something really, really practical, and I had it, and then I lost it because we're talking about being a guest on podcasts, and I wanted to return a little bit to that.
We were talking about utilizing the URLs, and we were talking about making them very memorable so that when you are a guest, we were also talking about collaborating so that you're making sure that you're utilizing. So you guys, so as you're thinking, I'm just going to preface something. So I really want you to notice something about everything that Matt is telling you is there is a strategy, right? And for those of you who have been following me a long time, you know that I talk about big S strategy and little S strategy. So this is little S strategy at its finest. We are not just doing stuff. We're not just like, oh, we need to go get booked on podcasts because someone told me I needed to do it. We're not just doing like, hey, let's just go throw a bunch of shit on social media because that sounds like what, people say you need to do social media. That that is not effective in any marketing endeavor that you're doing, whether it be podcasting, whether it be, whether it be webinars, whatever the thing is, networking. You need to actually have a strategy of why are you doing it? For what purpose? How are you going to do it in the way that is going to make the most sense? And again, it's like one of the things that drives me crazy when I see social media people out there pitching is, they're like, entrepreneurs have this idea that, well, I need to be on social. I need to be active on social. No, right? Like, yeah, someone just said, Kelly said big ass strategy. No, I said big S strategy. But one of the things that you need to do is we need to think things all the way through to that conversion, because social media by itself, and I mean, unless you're just wanting brand awareness, which also is important. So doing social media by itself is not the thing. It's how do you convert that to leads, right? Like social selling, which my colleague Kelly Roach teaches, right? Like it's social selling. It's taking that through. Podcasting is not just about you getting up and yammering. It's an entire collaboration methodology. It's how to get affluent clients. Like, how are you structuring this to make it most effective? When you start to think of all of your marketing that way, in a way that you guys are funny. When you start to think of, maybe I did say big ass strategy. I don't know. Maybe I did. I'll have to go listen to the replay. I don't know, but whatever. Whatever. You've got to be thinking of these things. This is where we start to get to working smarter, not harder. Because if you're just doing a bunch of stuff because someone told you to, that's not strategic. You're just doing stuff.
No, yeah, at best it's opportunistic, and that's the best thing you can say about it. Like I was thinking about social media the other day, and I was just thinking about how most of my friends look at a certain social media platform, and the reason they feel like they need to be there isn't because they want to be there. It's because somebody told them they should be there, or they saw somebody else make it work. And the thing we have to remember is that everything is going to have a success story, because you're just not going to hear about all the people who can't make it work. You're only going to hear the success stories. So there's going to be a success story for every method, every tactic, every social media platform. Somebody's going to be the poster child that said, hey, I made this work and I built $1 million business doing this. Well, great. That's fine. That doesn't mean we all have to run over there like a herd and jump on Snapchat. Thank you, Gary Vee.
Yeah. So I started looking at Snapchat because of Gary, and then I'm like, this is stupid. I'm not doing this. The only thing I use Snapchat for is to play with my nieces and nephews and do funny filters. Or if I feel like looking like a freaking cat for 5 minutes, I don't know. But other than that, I'm not using Snapchat.
Exactly. Me either. I actually deleted my account. But I think there's we have to start with what it has the highest chance of working. And the thing about podcasts is when you are introduced as a guest, you are leveraging somebody else who's already put a lot of time and effort and blood and sweat and tears building up like a level of trust with their audience. And you get to leverage that trust. You're literally borrowing their time, right? Contrast that with trying to reach somebody through social media where it feels like everybody's promoting themselves, right? So it's coming out, like, even if you could reach like the same, like let's say you go on a podcast that has 1,000 downloads. If you could reach those same 1,000 people by putting an ad in front of them on Facebook, if you could target them that finely, you'd still want to reach them through a podcast first, because the podcast is somebody introducing you as a trusted expert to their audience.
Leveraging other people's networks.
Yeah, 100%.
OPN.
That's right.
Yes, I love it. All right.
Other people's people.
Yes, exactly. All right. So excellent. I love it, you guys. This is fantastic. If anyone has any questions for Matt, go ahead and drop them down below, because I'm sure he'll be on and he'll answer questions after the feed. I want to, keep this relatively short today. So for those of you who are thinking, all right, this is all amazing. This sounds fantastic. How do I do this? Right? Because that's always the question that people ask. How is the easiest thing to figure out? There's two ways you can do this. You can either go start searching and Googling and putting together your whole, I can't see who wrote that comment, but I have to say that that's Natalie that wrote OPN. Yeah, you know me. Am I right?
I think it's Lynn.
Oh, is it Lynn? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that just sounds like
funny.
something Natalie would say. All right. So you guys, there's two things you can do, right? You can go out and you can start doing all sorts of research, right? You can spend the next month doing research on how to put this together. Or Matt has a program that he put together because he is not in the business of booking podcast guests. That's not what he does, right? But he does want people to utilize this strategy. So Matt, you put together a extremely affordable program. My team is going through it because I actually have someone that works for me full time that does event planning and public relations, including pitching me on podcasts. So tell me what you got.
Yeah. So I have the same problem that everybody has, which is I assigned myself the task of reaching out to like one podcast a day, and I got through like a day and realized this is not going to happen. So I had the same thing where I had people who could have been pitching me on my team, and they just weren't equipped. So I put together the whole training system for them, initially just for myself, so that I was getting pitched. And then I realized that, okay, well, all of my clients need this. And then, of course, then that turned into like a sellable product because all of my prospects, like everyone that isn't ready to launch a podcast with my agency, it's because they should have been pitching themselves starting 6 or 12 months ago, right? That's the main thing.
Yes.
So I put together the program, which is $297, and basically you sign up for it, and it's not for you as the expert. There's a module in there for you that just kind of gives you a timeline of what, but the training is actually for a podcast pitch assistant. So if you already have a VA or an assistant or somebody in your team that could be doing it, or if you want to hire someone, we can help you do that. And we've got people that are already pre-trained and have been through the program that can do it for you. But essentially, let someone else do all that back-end work. With the proper training, somebody else can research the podcast. They can reach out. They can send the pitch email. They can get all the scheduling. And you just sit back and you watch those interviews pop up on your calendar. You show up and have an awesome conversation like this and walk away and you're done. Right. And that's what I had to build for myself. That's what all of us, like all of us thought leaders, coaches, consultants, influencers, like we should not be the ones doing that back end work. If you want to do it once or twice to see what it's like, you'll see what I mean. Like you'll pretty quickly discover this is not going to happen consistently in your business unless somebody else does it. And that was the thing, is just people are not equipped to do it. And so I put together the training for that. So it just takes care of that. So that by week 2 of that training, you are getting pitched.
I love it. So let me ask you a question. So what if someone they don't have team and they're not ready for a team? They can't afford to hire a team yet. Can they still use this for themselves?
Yeah, they can put themselves through it. Absolutely. We have people doing that right now, and it's great. And it probably gets them to the point where they get on a few podcasts and they say, okay, this is awesome. Now I'm ready to turn it over to somebody else. And like I said, we've already got people who have gone through the training. So if you buy it and you don't quite have someone, or you decide you're going to do it for yourself and then you want to turn it over later, we've got you covered. We've got people that are pre-trained that we can refer you, and you can decide whether you want to work with that particular person to pitch you. So we've got a whole range of people that you can choose from.
Okay, excellent. And here would be my recommendation for you guys strategically. If this is a strategy that you really want to use and you do not have team and you're not in a place to afford it yet, buy this system, right? Then put yourself through it. The first book of business that you get from that system, then invest in a virtual assistant who can pitch for you, right? So that you then get yourself out of that. So now you're starting to create that leverage in your business so that you can focus on deploying another strategy to help you bring in more clientele.
Yeah, exactly. Because this can be a foundation for your business to where you're just getting featured consistently. I mean, I've been interviewed 3 times this week. You don't have to go quite that heavy. That's 150 podcasts a year. But if you think about 50 podcasts a year, all that is once a week. It's not bad. Anybody can do 60 minutes a week.
Right. I love it. Yeah. I love it. All right. And we are going to be dropping a link below. Is that what we're going to be doing?
Yep.
Do we have that link? Is it coming shortly?
Not yet. We'll have the affiliate link for you guys shortly.
Okay. So we are going to drop a link below. Be on the lookout for it. Right. We'll let you know. We'll also send a follow-up email with the replay and then with the link as well, so that you guys have that if that's something you're interested in. Also connect with Matt. How to get featured?
Howtogetfeatured.com, or you can just look me up on Instagram, Microfamous.
What is it?
Microfamous.
Are you serious?
I kid you not.
All right, I think we're connected.
That's the title of a new book.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Actually, I love that. All right, perfect. All right, so connect with Mr. Matt. If you guys are in PBI, he is going to be in there. We will do another more in-depth training for you guys in PBI, in the Profitology Business Incubator. You get access to our experts in there as well. You guys, thank you so much, Matt. Thank you so much. That was such a great training. So helpful. So helpful. And I'm so thrilled to see you at the Profitable Positioning Workshop next week. That is going to be fun. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys, thank you so much for joining us for Training Thursday. We are back every single Thursday, except for, I need to think about next Thursday. I've got to talk to my team about that because I think I'm going to be out. So we got to I'll figure something out. We'll either do a watch party. We'll do something. All right. So, we are here every single Thursday. If you've not registered for Collaborate to Accelerate, if you like this kind of strategic thinking, it is literally directly in line with everything we teach in Collaborate to Accelerate. So jump on that. Make sure that you register. We are going to be doing a referral contest, which is really fun. We're actually shaking up all the prizes this time. We're gonna go full out. So if you want to be involved in that referral contest, direct message Ravi Tour, right? RAVI, and she will help you out with getting you set up in our referral program. All right, everyone. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Matt, thanks so much. And until next time, everyone have an amazing week. Talk soon.